Welcome to the antidote to anxiety. So today we're going to understand anxiety and where it comes from. Part 1. So healing is a very important part of letting go of anxiety. Now we have 4 primary emotions. We have scary or fear, hurt, anger, and guilt. So out of fear, out of scary, we can get things like anxiety, worry, panic. And out of hurt, we can get loss, grief, heartache, and other emotions. Out of anger, we can get rage, resentment, blaming. And out of guilt, we can get emotions like shame, embarrassment, feeling not good enough. Now, most people have about 15 to 30 of these emotions running in their life. And each of these emotions come in chains called gestalts. So let's say you're afraid of something now in your life. That's linked to an earlier fear, an earlier one, all the way back to the first fear. If you want to take out the whole chain of fear, you take them all out and it clears it. And you take out hurt, anger, and all the other emotions one by one, but you take out the whole chain. That will change how you feel now and also help you have a brighter future. So let's look at the sources of anxiety. I put them together so it's easy to remember. The word scared, the S is symbolic of safety, which is a fear of not feeling safe, not feeling secure. The antidote is have reliable security. Now, you can attach security to people in your life, relationships. You can attach it to family, your work, your life, God, the universe. And sometimes they're a reliable source of security and sometimes they're not. Sometimes we can have false sense of security, like cigarettes or food. That can be a false sense of security, or go to somebody that's not a good source of security. Okay? But the best source of security is one that comes from within. You're secure within yourself personally. Okay? Then we have C for criticism, and that's a fear of judgment. And the antidote is having self-worth and being self-correcting. See, if you're self-correcting, if you're improving yourself and somebody judges or criticizes you, it's like, yeah, I know. I'm working on that, or I'm happy with it. Or, hey, that's your stuff. If you have self-worth, then you're not going to get hurt by their words because your worth comes from within, from the self. Then we have abuse, and that can be fear of being overpowered. And the antidote is self-empowerment. So you start getting stronger. You're stronger within yourself. Then you're not going to be controlled or pushed around because you're self-empowered, self-responsible. You're taking charge of your life. Okay? Rejection. And that's the fear of not being loved. The antidote is self-worth and being okay with aloneness. See, if you've projected your worth into somebody else and they leave, that you're going to be empty and worthless. But if you have self-worth, then they haven't rejected you, abandoned you, they've just left. You still have your worth. You still value yourself and you're okay to go it alone. Expectations, and that's a fear of failure or disapproval. And the antidote is to approve yourself. You don't need other people's approval. You're big now. You can approve of yourself. You don't have to live to other people's expectations. You can have your own standards that are realistic and support you. And then decisions. Fear of speaking up, expressing yourself, making decisions. And the antidote is building confidence. So you build confidence, you get out there, you start taking risks. They don't have to be big risks, but you start risking, taking chances and expressing yourself. Realize when you make a decision, you own the consequences. Whether it works or not, it doesn't matter if it's correct or wrong, you're learning from it. It's a learning experience and you're getting better at it. You own that and you build confidence through experience. So, anxiety is often born in the past, often literally. My daughter, when she was born, she had forceps suction caps. It was horrific. She went through this birth trauma. A little darling, that it's like, I knew that that would affect her. And even from the early stage, if she was even a small distance away from mum, the high-pitched scream, you know. And she would go into these tantrums, and my God, they had an energy of their own until she burnt it out. And she was always hitting the head. It didn't matter how much you tried to protect her, she would find a way to hurt her head. And I knew that she was trying to relive her birth trauma so that she could resolve it. So unconsciously she was playing it over and over again. Now, when she was about 3 or 4, I put her in a sleeping bag and we played this game where I'd hold the sleeping bag shut and she would have to wiggle, struggle to get out, and I'd go, yay, it's a little girl. And it became a game. It was fun. And progressively I made it more difficult for her until the last time I made it really difficult and she really struggled. She had to fight her way out. It was very similar to the birth. And when she did, she was just so happy. Now, from that date on, no more traumas, no more tantrums, no more high-pitched screaming. And she stopped hitting the head because she had successfully relived the birth trauma. So, this can happen. You can have experiences at birth or even in the womb that can create anxiety. Preemie babies sometimes have a lot of anxiety because they're taken away from the mother. You can have adopted children sometimes have a lot of anxiety. You know? See, Children have three primal needs. They have a need to feel safe, a need to feel loved, and a need for attention. And if these needs are not fulfilled properly, it can create anxiety. If parents are fighting, that can create anxiety, especially if you're the meat in the sandwich, because it creates a triangle. If there's instability, if things are not predictable or stable as a child, that can create anxiety. Sometimes issues with siblings or school bullying can create anxiety. If there's any abuse, trauma, sometimes death of somebody close, that was a source of security. Past relationships can create anxiety, especially if there was abuse or betrayal. Okay. So now we understand anxiety a little bit better. In part 2, we will now start letting go of some of that anxiety. Thank you very much.